everyone, this is Alex Gosse. I'm the owner of Magically Resin and I'm the social media team lead for Craft Resin. I'm going to show you today how to use up some leftover resin. I just had this in the bottom of a mixing cup and I've been making these temporary tattoos that I think are so perfect to use on leftover resin. I like to start out on a glass surface, but it's not necessary. I find that this works the best, and I work on a glass surface often because it's perfect for all kinds of different media. So you spray the back of the temporary tattoo with a small amount of water. You do not want it to have too much water on this. That can really make it hard to apply it. And I believe that this is appropriate for all the temporary tattoos that I've come across, but definitely appropriate if you're using one that you bought from me. After I spray the little bit of water on the back, I like to pat it around with my finger. You can see on the back of it when it turns from a bright white to a gray color, and you can see the tattoo image coming through the back. You can tell that it's ready to go, and how you'll also know is it should slide effortlessly off of the paper. There should be no resistance whatsoever. If you find there is any resistance, you want to make sure and wet it just a little bit more on the back, and you should be able to see where it's going to need a little bit more water. At this point, you can slide it off of the paper and slide it onto your dry resin surface. And you want to make sure that it looks bubble-free and flat at this point. If there is any water underneath it, that is going to distort the image. So it's really important right now to just make sure and pat it while it is still a little bit damp. You have a short window now of getting it perfect because you don't want to mess with it too long or you might break it. These are very delicate. So you can see here that that's a perfectly flat surface, and you'll be able to see when you're doing it as well that all of the water is out from underneath it and it's perfectly flat and dry. Now you want to let it sit and dry, and I like to give it a good 2 or 3 hours depending on how dry it is or how warm it is in your room. But sometimes I'll just do it and then come back to it the next day. You can leave it like this for a long time until you're ready to do a dome session, which frequently I will do and have a bunch of things ready to dome all at the same time. So I've had some that have sat for weeks without having resin poured on them before I did the dome coat. So here I am just using my Craft Resin. I've mixed it equal parts A and B, but measured by volume, and I gave it 10 minutes to degas. Since I was using such a small amount, I wanted to make sure, and it was a dome coat, so it's really important that it absolutely have degassed and have no bubbles in it. I also like for it to thicken up just a bit if I'm going to do a dome coat. So you'll see that I'm doing this on top of one of my inlays. I like for it to be really easy to turn in circles so that I can see the light from different angles to make sure that I've covered the entire top so that I get a really pristine dome coat on it. I also prefer to use a torch instead of spraying it with alcohol ink whenever I'm doing a dome. I want to make sure that it doesn't overflow any more than it has to, and if you spray it with alcohol, there's a chance that a lot of it could flow over and you lose that nice beautiful dome. So this is the end result, and this was just leftover resin and a temporary tattoo, and I am thrilled with this. It turned out I use a cup where the leftover is exactly the right size to be a coaster, so this is going to be used as a coaster. But also it's just, I love having blanks around to test new things, and this turned out so great. I love the rainbow world feel that this has, and leftover resin has never been put to better use. Thank you so much for joining me today. Everything that I used will be linked in the description below, and we would love to hear your comments and questions and anything you'd like to know. And feel free to follow us on Instagram and tag us with anything you make based on our inspiration. Have a wonderful day.